Hi, folks. Welcome to Let's Talk It Over. I'm Ken Weene, and with me today, as always, my wonderful co-host, Monica Brinkman. And our very special guest today is Jeffrey Sitcov. And Jeffrey is the founder of an organization called Doors of Change. Now, Doors of Change is a program that helps homeless youth. And it does some pretty impressive things with these young people. We have an awful lot of homeless kids in this country. How many, Jeffrey? How many do you think there are?
There are over 3.5 million youth are homeless in America today between the age of 17 and 25. They call them the transitional age youth. Yeah. Those are the kids that are the hidden kids.
Yeah. Actually, I think 17 is probably a little older than reality. I here in Tucson, where I live, we have a group called Youth on Their Own, and many of them are a lot younger than that, out on the street and trying to make their lives. These are kids. You know, I think people have the wrong idea that a lot of these kids don't care. They're just bums. They're drugged out bums, you know, hanging on the corner and selling their bodies. But reality is that the vast majority of them are hardworking, often have jobs, as many of the homeless in this country do. Just can't make enough money to get themselves an apartment, but or a home. But a lot of them are struggling to stay in school. Some of them are incredibly bright. In fact, that's one of the things your program does, isn't it, Jeffrey? You help nurture their creativity and their desire to accomplish. Could you tell us a little about that?
Sure. Well, firstly, people always ask me, why are these kids homeless? And the biggest reason that they're homeless, and I've done this for over 20 years, the parents are so dysfunctional. They're alcoholics, they're drug addicts. If they're LGBTQ, 40% nationally LGBTQ are homeless because they get kicked out of their house when their parents find out that they're gay. So these kids do not want to be homeless. It's very difficult to be on the streets. Once you're on the streets, though, it's almost impossible to get off the streets. You know why? Because they don't trust anybody. They have to trust you to ask you for help, and they don't trust you. They're not going to ask for any help.
We have in the community I live in, we have a woman who has a whole history of street ministry, and behind us there is what we in Arizona call a river, which means there's no water in it except when it rains. But there's a whole youth encampment down there, and she tries to help them. And one of the things that I bothers me terribly is that we in the community, we have a clubhouse, and in that clubhouse we have bathroom facilities, we have washing machines, we have showers because there's a pool, and even a small kitchen. And she and I would like very much to have some of that resource directed to helping these kids. You know, maybe like even if all it was once a week, let them come in and take a shower and wash their clothes and have a decent breakfast. And everybody here is so, no, like these kids have the plague. They don't, folks.
I know it. It's the same way here, Ken. They have the same attitude. And they don't go to the source of why these children are homeless.
Right.
And just as you stated, they think all of them are a bunch of drug addicts.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, how do you build that trust?
It's a wonderful question, Ken. You know, it normally would take 6 or 9 months for a homeless youth to trust you. That's what it usually took 20 years ago. I said it's too long because you lose them to overdose. They run away farther away from you so you don't catch them. And what I did is I brought a blues group into the shelter one night just to give them a little soul for their soul. And the kids went crazy, jumping around, dancing around, having a great time. The instructor said, Jeffrey, I have done this for 30 years. I have never seen more kids excited about anything before. The next day, I started the music and art program. It's been going for over 20 years. We have an award-winning music and art program that builds trust very quickly, within 1 to 3 days versus 6 to 9 months. They trust us because we teach them how to help themselves. We teach them how to master something for the first time, whether it's a violin, ukulele, a mandolin, harmonica, keyboards, drums, whatever it is. We teach them just a couple different, chords, and they start feeling better about themselves because they master it. It's the first time they've many times mastered anything in their life, and they start feeling better about themselves. And we also say, listen, you can earn an instrument of your choice. We're not going to give it to you, but you can earn it. And it's a lot better to earn things than to give, be given something. And so if they come for 6 classes, which is an eternity for a homeless kid, that's 6 weeks, they can earn an instrument of their choice. 453 youth now have earned instruments, and they pick the instrument they want. That we, instruct them in 8 instruments, and they play it on the streets for their soul, but also to make some money instead of begging. And that's another way of getting off the streets.
Yeah.
Busking. The thing that's amazing about that, and I think you're right on. I used to work with kids as a therapist, and people would always ask me, "What is it you do that these kids trust you so much?" Now, I'm a writer, but I'm not a musical. I don't have the musical talent. But I used to take them camping. Of course, when you're homeless, you're going camping, isn't it? No. But we used to go play paintball, water rafting. And my thing is, a lot of kids in this world are brought up, like you said, not only have they never mastered anything, they've never received positive reinforcement, at least not since kindergarten or something. They may have had a kindergarten teacher who told them they were a good kid. But typically, by the time that they are in 3rd grade, all they're hearing is you're terrible, you're this, you're that. Especially, as you pointed out, the kids who are off of the typical binary sexual identity, their families add on just more. And you just say to a kid like that, "Hey, I don't get it. Why are people telling you this? You nice kid. I'm having fun with you. We can have a good time together. We can do something creative together," and it changes the dynamic rather quickly. So I agree with you.
It's amazing how that creates trust quickly, and once they trust you, they ask for help. And so our case manager, who's right on the premises, will get them all the help they need, all the resource they need, including IDs. They can't get a job unless they have an ID.
Yeah.
Medical insurance. They need medical insurance.
Sure.
Housing. If they want to go into a shelter or go into a long-term care facility, we can help them. And we have many partners in our community that work together to get these kids off the streets. Because I'll tell you something, of all the age group in homelessness, the transitional age youth, the 17 to 25, it's the most underserved in the entire homeless population. There's no funding for them. Now there's finally, after 20 years, starting to get some funding, but it's also the most likely to succeed of breaking the cycle because they haven't been on the streets for so long. And so we get to them before their feet are in the cement, and we get them to want to get off the streets, start feeling better about themselves, start being self-sufficient, getting jobs, teaching them trades, etc., getting them to be productive citizens.
So once they're once they've started coming to your program, Doors of Change, then you help them get in touch with other kinds of help, like vocational training, some kind of indoor decent situation, back into school, whatever it is. Your organization is then working with other organizations. Is that how it goes?
Yes. You can succeed in this unless having many partnerships. We have 35 partners that work together to help these kids. One of our partners is the California Conservation Corps. They take these kids and they actually pay them full-time, minimum wage, but full-time. They teach them how to do culinary arts, carpentry, how to do salmon restoration, work with the fish, how to do forest fires, how to be an agent for forests or whatever. And it's a job, it's a trade that they learn that they can then take on And we had one of our kids earn $9,000. They actually took with them afterwards because they had so much money from overtime with the fires that they were able to, that's a lot of money, $9,000.
Great. Fabulous. Yeah, and these kids, in case you're wondering, you don't go and fight forest fires if you're unmotivated. If you're a lazy bum, that's not something you're doing.
I thank God for them, though. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, what would we do without them? And what a wonderful way to introduce someone to something that they can be proud of.
So how do you get funded? Who's paying the bills on this, man?
Well, we have been a grassroots organization for over 20 years. We've raised over $4.5 million in private funds, mostly. We have grants now. We have, donations from many, many people that hear about us and see our successes. We've been doing this for many years. We have a wonderful relationship with the music industry. I'm an award-winning photographer, and I befriended Billy Joel 20 years ago.
Wow.
Love the vision. And he said, I'll start signing some keyboards for you. And he started signing keyboards. And then he was with Elton John. They were touring together. And he told him about what he was doing. And Elton said, I'd like to be involved also. So they have these two guys start signing stuff for us. It really helped the credibility of many musicians, because just like homeless kids, musicians don't trust anybody either because they've been lied to by so many people. And so because of that, the Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, James Taylor, B.B. King, Etta James, many, many, many amazing people, Steve Winwood, The Who. I mean, all these people came to help us sign memorabilia. And that's one of the ways we've been able to raise close to $900,000 now in memorabilia sales over 20 years. We also have concerts because music is such an important part. People would rather go to a gala, instead of a gala, go to a concert.
Of course, I would.
Yes. And so we've had many concerts. We honored B.B. King at San Diego State Open Air Theater with 4,000 people. That was sold out. Charlie Musselwhite, blues legend. Tommy Castro, blues legend. We had Los Lobos 2 years ago. We sold that out. And this one now we're having on June 30th. And if anybody's in Southern California that's hearing this and says, I want to help these kids, I'm touched by this cause, come for $49 is the least expensive seat. It's the lawn seat. You'll be able to see Three Dog Night. And Three Dog Night has got over 20 hits in the top 40. They're a legendary group.
I have to stop you and correct you about one thing and then tell us more about Three Dog Night. You don't have to be in Southern California, folks. You could make it a destination. It's the end of June. What better time to go to the San Diego area? You can go to Balboa Park. You can go to the zoo there, the museum, maybe take in a show. There's wonderful theater. Tour this fabulous town. And also have as the pièce de résistance, this incredible concert by Three Dog Night. And
the cost is very affordable also. I mean, look at what you have to pay like for Paul McCartney. It's ridiculous,
And the way you get tickets, by the way, folks, and I'm segueing quite deliberately here because you notice I keep mentioning the organization is called Doors of Change, and they have a website. What a surprise. What organization doesn't? So it's doorsofchange.org. And of course, Monica is going to have a link for you in the description in the bottom of the show, as we always do, so you can go. And I believe you can buy the tickets there. Is that correct, Jeffrey?
Yeah, get them online at doorsofchange.org. If you want to actually see some videos of the homeless kids and their stories, it's amazing. Go to our website of doorsofchange.org. You can make a donation of any amount. People say, listen, I can't go to that, but what can I do? I want to help these kids. These kids are our future. If we don't help these kids, do you know that 51% of adults in San Diego that are homeless were homeless as a kid? 51%.
Wow.
So if we don't help these kids get off the streets, they're going to be, again, 20, 30 years from now, just like we see now with all the tents all over. In the United States, it's like this everywhere. So please, we have a thing called the Angel Team. We were very blessed that the California Angels gave us the only exception they've ever given and actually let us trademark the name Angel Team for homeless youth. And so for $11 a month minimum or more, you can be on our angel team. That's only $132 a year. So for $11 a month, you don't even know it's being taken out of your, your funds, but it will help us because if we have 1,000 people that donated $11 a month, that helps us be able to get a lot more food for these kids, the different, resources that they need. We had a 110% increase in mental health referrals during COVID, 110% increase. And so these kids really are having trouble during COVID. Not only are they homeless, but there's no place for them to shelter. And so when we saw 110% increase, we said, we have got to do something actively, quickly about this, because if not, they commit suicide. And so what we did is we started a program called YES, Youth Emotional Support Team, which we actually hook up the homeless kids with a psychologist or psychiatrist if they need meds. We give them phones so they can actually use telehealth. Instead of going, they don't have the money, they can actually be right there on their phone and get telehealth from a psychologist, help them get through this. Because again, there's a lot of pressure on these kids to be out in a pandemic without anywhere to go. And so, all this stuff, you can go to our website of doorsofchange.org to see the different youth success stories, to be able to hear their stories. And there's a lot of rocky stories. And they really touch my heart and touch a lot of people's hearts. And by the way, at the concert, we're going to have one of the youth speak. They always speak at our concerts because that's the key to the whole thing. They hear a homeless kid speak about their story. And this amazing person, her name is Nikki Johnson Hudson. She was homeless from 12 to 16 years old, African-American woman. She then went to school. She then went to college. She then went to law school. She then started her own law firm. And last year, she was selected as Ms. Universe.
Wow. Wow.
What a wonderful story.
Wow.
Now, can other people, do you have any branches of this, I guess is what I'm trying to say, where other states and maybe even other areas in California could set up something similar?
Well, number one, we're more than welcome to talk to anybody in a different area that has issues with homelessness. We can share with them what we're doing. But we actually, because of COVID, we went remote. And so we're actually helping in 13 different states right now. We're kids that are in Colorado, kids that are in Arizona, kids that are in Washington, D.C. They contact us, and our case manager, who's phenomenal, Nicole McDonald, will actually work with them on the phone. I need a place to stay with my car. Where's a safe place? I need a place to stay at night. I don't want to sleep outside. I need medical insurance. All these different things. She will let them know where to go in the United States, where they are, and to get that. And we have 13 states right now we've helped this last 2 years in.
That's wonderful. And I hope that grows.
Yes.
I know in our area after the fires, a lot of people homeless came here because, of course, people were giving out free things to help the survivors and they wouldn't turn them away. But as a result, now we have a huge homeless population and I don't see them treating it seriously. So I'm so happy you're here today because you have resources and sensible and doable ones.
And folks, even though people are homeless and now they do have access to like a public library or something like that. So if you know somebody who's homeless, and if you're like myself or some of my friends, and if you see a homeless person, especially a young person, you might give them a few bucks, to help them out or something. You might want to mention, hey, there's this organization, you can go online and find it. Even though it's in California, they will try and help you find resources. And again, it's called doorsofchange.org. See, they can go into the library, the public library. All of them have computers now. And they get on that computer and they type in that organization and they'll have contact. They can get a phone number. I realize it isn't always so easy to make that call because you don't have money to pay for a phone. But or perhaps they can find a way to otherwise, but access this organization and get some help finding out where you can go. I've been telling, when I done it here in Tucson, as I said, we have this youth on their own, but now I have another resource, and I can say to a young person, hey, if you're, in your young 20s, if you're late teens to early 20s, call this organization, contact them.
Yeah, wonderful idea, Ken.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
people should contact their local representatives also and present this to when they have their meetings, because all I seem to hear is why we can't do something instead of look what we can do. And that's the attitude we need, I think, right now.
Amen.
I have a success story I'll share with you. Hold on just for 1 second.
All right.
Okay, Jeffrey's getting us one of his success stories. I see you grabbed the photograph. That's great.
So Justine was homeless between 12 and 16 years old because her mom was an alcoholic. Her mom's boyfriend used to beat her up, drag her by her hair, and at 12 years old, he started taking her clothes off. And she said, I've got to get out of here. And she left at 12 years old. She actually joined a gang, shaved her head off, and she was safer in the gang than in her house.
Oh, sure.
And so she did that for 4 years. When I actually met her, she was 16 years old, and she was in suicide watch for 6 months, which is a long time.
Sure is.
She tried to commit suicide twice. And she just, she had no will to live. She had no hope. She looked at me for the first time and said, I want to learn how to play music. And so we had her start in our music program. Then about 3 weeks afterwards, she says, can I try the art program? Because we had an expressive arts program also. So she started the arts program, and she just started soaring and soaring and soaring. She started making jewelry. She was so excited. She said, I can make money doing this. For over 10 years, she made money selling her jewelry. And she ended up going to City College, graduated, went to University of Santa Barbara, California, Santa Barbara, graduated magna cum laude. She's now in her 3rd year of law school. And this is Justine.
Wow. That is so cool. And who's that handsome guy with her?
Yeah, who could that be? Yeah.
I know. It is our guest today, Jeffrey Sitcov. Like my segues, what can I do? And again, folks, he is the founder and head of this program in San Diego called Doors of Change. And it has been doing 20 years of outreach to homeless youth and teaching them not just music and art. Yes, that's the entryway, but teaching them to have hope, teaching them to have self-respect, and teaching them to have purpose. And Jeffrey, thank you for joining us today on Let's Talk It Over. And as we always do, we are going to have a little video at the end of the show so you can see a little bit more. But I want to remind you now that that concert is on Thursday, June 30th from 7:30 to 10 p.m. at the Moonlight Amphitheater in Vista, California. And it is Three Dog Night, which is one heck of a good group. And you can attend that conference, that concert, and have a wonderful evening. And of course, if you, like I said before, if you don't live in the San Diego area, hey, schedule your vacation around it. And you know what? I'm going to make a suggestion here, folks. If you have kids of your own, especially if they're in their late teens or to early 20s, and you're going to go to that conference, bring your kids, make it a family trip. No, folks, not to warn the kids that they could be homeless if they don't behave. No, not for that. To show them that there really is hope in this world, that people really do care. Even famous people, even famous musicians and famous artists and famous whatever, people can care, do care, and are there for us, one another.
And that's the thing that I thought we didn't emphasize enough. There are people who will care about you, who will love you. And I think so many of these young people haven't had that love in so long.
Yeah. But they do get it from our guest today, Jeffrey Sitcov, and from this wonderful organization. So again, Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk It Over.
Yeah, and I'm going to go donate right now as soon as we get off the line.
I mean, seriously, people don't think they can make a difference. Whatever you can give, it's $10, $20, $100, whatever it is. If everybody gives what they can, we're going to help these kids get off the streets, have a better life so they can be proud of it. And it's better for our society. It's a lot less of a drain having kids be productive than being, you know, on the streets and with all the issues and all the expenses that go with it. Make these kids and give an opportunity to help themselves with hard work.
Absolutely.
Let's stop with that very good message.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeffrey. And as we promised, here's a little video for you to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The thing that made me leave home when I was 12 that was so bad was my new stepfather. He started to abuse me physically, emotionally, mentally, would call me names, drag me by my hair, hit me, kick me. He was basically torturing me.
On the streets is quite difficult, near impossible to trust people really, because they were always looking out for themselves. I had to do the same, look out for myself.
The longest time period I didn't eat for was probably like 3 days.
I was chain smoking cigarettes for warmth. I figured the heat from the smoke, you know, would keep me warm for the night.
I slept in a lot of crazy places. I would sleep like on park benches in parks. I slept on the beach a lot. I eventually had a tent. Well, there was one night I slept in a dumpster on top of a piece of cardboard. Thankfully, it wasn't trash day.
I was able to sleep in front of anybody, no matter what. It was like, hey, if they kill me, they kill me. And, you know, if they were trying to rob me, they robbed me. It's like, that's just what it was.
I would perform in the streets to get some money. I would just do tricks with a soccer ball.
The toughest thing about being homeless is the loss of hope and trying to hold on to that.
I first heard of Doors of Change through outreach. Jeff was walking around doing outreach.
We're going on outreach, which we've done now for 18 years, twice a week, trying to find homeless kids between the age primarily of 16 to 25. When we find them, we ask them if they'd like to come to a music and arts program. They get free music lessons, free art, free dinners, free food, free clothes, case management, whatever they would like. We've seen now over 7,300 visits now in 6 years.
The staff of Doors of Change are kind. They're always in a great mood. They're always asking to help anyway. It's really nice. It feels like a family.
Doors of Change has helped me because I was homeless at 17 because my biological dad got involved and he punched me in the face repeatedly. And now I'm about to graduate from college, computer engineering. Homeless, degree. Pretty clear line.
It's really important that people that are able to donate to Doors of Change can provide the financial support that we need to continue to provide opportunities for these kids, whether it be music instruments, referrals, life skills, you know, anything that they need help with. They need a lot of support, and even if it's just $5, I mean, really anything can help these kids. And the bigger the donation, the more children are going to end up with opportunities like me that they can make something of themselves and make an impact in this world. And that's why it's so important that we have donors. They really make the whole organization run.